Hi, I don't know if you've got one of these Delta Tenoning jigs like I've got, but I've got to be honest, I'm not 100% happy with it. There's issues about it that have made it to a point where I don't use it that much. So today I want to address them issues, because obviously having a good Tenoning jig that you can rely on can be an asset. And instead of making some wooden one like there's plenty out there on the videos, I've already got one. So I want to adapt this in some way to make it a little better. First issue I've got is it's not that, because I don't have a T-slot. This side I made myself in the cast iron bench, so it doesn't have anything for the slot to grip into. So that's the first issue. I've seen one guy has put some blocks on here which sit on the table to stop that happening. But I can just see binding problems there. I don't know, maybe it's worked for him, but I don't want to go down that road. The other thing is, again, T-slot problem. I've got movement, and because I've got movement, I'm not going to get accuracy. And I'm looking at the setting of this thing, and it seems it goes well past the blade, so I'm wasting a good 6mm, 8mm there. Never going to go that far, so I don't know why it's made in such a way. So many issues I want to address. Now there's my idea. What I've done is I've taken the cast iron base off of the jig. I've made a plywood base, so this replaces this on the jig. Then this itself I can drill out so that it fits the holes on my sliding cast iron table. Thus the jig can never move. Hopefully that should cure all the problems. Right, so far what I've done is there's only 3 fixing points on the jig. You've got the adjusting nut that goes in the centre, and for that I've put a T-nut countersunk in from underneath. Don't need no screws or anything in there because the pressure is going to be pulling upwards, so it's not going to go down at all. But you just got to make sure that is nice and flush. And then 2 more connectors which I just Allen screws, which go into the base and hold it in. I've countersunk them so that they're, again, not protruding under the base. The only other thing now is I've got to get this exactly onto the blade and perfectly square here. Okay, that's against the blade. Now just check it square. Okay, now I'll just drill that out on the drill press. That's all 4 holes drilled, and I've countersunk the tops to allow for the spacer to sit in. I found if I left it without, first I'd be sitting on the rubber, or I could put a washer in it, but I've got all that to screw in each time, which is quite a long job. So with this in place, a long way down, with that in place, it's just a couple of turns, but it's enough to hold it solid. Very solid. Now I've gone front and back. So that I assume the jig being cast iron is going to probably hold that down tight anyway. The back I don't want any pivot there, but I've drilled the holes so that once I've got it in and set up, if I find there is any movement that way with big timbers, I can put a couple of screws in there, a couple of bolts in there, so that should be easy enough. Alright, I'll get the jig reattached to this and see if everything's working. Okay, right, well let's give it a try, shall we? See if it works. Okay, first we set the blade height, which I've just brought it up about 20mm there. There's no measurements because we're just testing. Moving the jig in, 10mm is enough. Remembering we're taking the height from the board here. That's set to 90, the back plate is set to 90. Put the stock in place, keep it nice and tight and lock it down. And that's not going to go anywhere, that's good and solid. Yeah, normal, okay. And then when finished, to remove the jig. Very quick and simple. Done. I think that jig's working very good. Very happy with that. Good. Well, thanks for joining me again, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers. Bye for now.